Hello, bonjour, Alberta. Did you know that at least 238,000 people speak Français in Alberta? And those numbers just keep on growing? Oui, oui, c'est vrai, it's true. And thanks to Shaw TV Community Access Programming, we get to reach out to everyone to let you know all about special people, places, events, and activities happening right here in this great province, in both English and en français. That's right, mes amis. We begin the first part of our program in English, and then we repeat it en français. So stay with us. Restez à l'écoute.
Hello, bonjour, Alberta. Welcome once again to our show. This year is our 12th season, and we're celebrating the 60th anniversary of the twinning of Calgary and the city of Quebec. Tonight we have with us Fire Chief Steve Dongworth from the Calgary Fire Department, as well as Benoit St.Pierre, Firefighter, and also a Medal of Bravery recipient. So welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
So Steve, we'd like to know where you're from and a little bit about your background and why did you choose firefighting as a career?
Sure. So I was born in Plymouth in Devonshire in the United Kingdom and grew up in the southwest of England, and at 19 years old, about 40 years ago, last June I think it was, I joined the fire service in Somerset, which is another county or province in the United Kingdom. And then in 1991, my family and I emigrated to Canada. 1992, I got on with the City of Calgary Fire Department, and so I've been with the Calgary Fire Department now for about 25 years, or it'll be 25 years actually in January, after serving close to 16 years in the British Fire Service. And the beginning of last year, I was fortunate enough to be promoted to the Chief of the Department, which was of course a great honor, and it's been an amazing career for me. I've been very fortunate, and you know, very proud to lead such a great group of people like Benoit here today. I think part of your question was, though, why did I become a firefighter?
Yeah.
I actually don't have any great story about growing up as a kid wanting to do this.
Become?
It was more almost by accident, where my parents moved house. We moved house to a place where we lived next door to a fellow who was a firefighter. And you know, I used to talk to him now and again, and it piqued a little bit of interest. But then he said, you know, why don't you come on down to the station one day and we'll do some testing. And so I did exactly that, and before I know it, bingo, I'm hired. So like, you know, but it's been remarkable for me, a great experience, and you know, I wouldn't change a thing. And is it very different firefighting in Britain versus firefighting here? There's a few things that are different. I mean, I certainly wasn't in a big city like Calgary. It was more small towns. Okay. I worked in with large, almost rural areas around them. Quite busy from a firefighting perspective. I think so that was a bit different. But you know, it's amazing how similar some of the people are that you get to meet in the service. The other big difference was, you know, here, virtually everywhere you go in Calgary, you've got just massive water supplies, you know, to bring to bear when you're fighting a large fire. Whereas there, you could turn on a lot of the hydrants and water would just kind of dribble out of the end. So that's a big difference. And construction's very different as well, building construction, which leads to different types of fires, but
yes,
essentially very similar.
The newer city here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. Benoit, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm a rock climber, and I love the mountains. So I came here the first time back in 1995, and then I spent 3 years around Canmore and Lake Louise. Then I went back to Montreal, and then I was always coming back for vacation, like spending like as much time as I could in the mountains. And then at one point back in 2007, I decided to move back here. And then I was living in Canmore at the time, and I started working as a rock climbing guide. And then my wife-to-be was finishing her PhD at the University of Calgary. So then I decided to move to Calgary. And then I remember at the time we were having a conversation, and she asked me what kind of career you would have liked to do. And I said, oh, I wish when I was younger I would have done in Quebec you go to like cégep, to college, and I said, oh, I wish I would have done like my college degree in firefighting, and I could have been a firefighter. That would have been a really good job for me. And then she said, oh, why don't you apply? And I was like, but I can't apply. I don't have the requirement. I don't have any firefighting training. And she said, no, in Calgary, you send your resume. And then they built on that. And I sent my resume, and luckily, thankfully, I got on, and it's been like so good to me.
And I understand that recently you've been awarded Medal of Bravery in firefighting. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So the story goes, we were like, me, my wife, and a friend, we were finishing a day of skiing. And what happened is, while my friend, anyway, we were waiting for my friend, and then all of a sudden we kind of heard like it sounded like a silent, the way I could say it's like a silent thunder. And then we're like, whoa, what was that? And then we start looking up, and then all of a sudden we see, oh yeah, it was an avalanche. But then all of a sudden we see someone trying to ski down the debris. So that's when we realize, oh, okay, this is serious. It's a rescue. And then we went up. We had to go like ski as fast as we can uphill, and it was really hard. Like, thankfully, we're all in really good
shape,
physical shape, because I was like completely exhausted. We were all exhausted, and then we skied up, and then reached the debris, and we managed to save 2 people.
Wow, a young boy and
an older man.
And an
65 years old man, and I think the kid was like maybe 15 years old at the time. Yeah.
Jeez, well, congratulations.
And yeah, they got like I got a Medal of Bravery, but to me, we were just doing like what we had to do. We saw it, and then.
But you also knew what to do, so.
Yeah, through training.
Yes.
Training is always so important. Anything you do, yeah. Yes.
So the Calgary Fire Department has, you were saying, 3,900 members?
39 fire stations currently.
Oh.
So fire stations, we have 1,300 frontline firefighters approximately.
Okay.
And our total staff is around 1,500 if you count things like safety codes officers, training officers, recruiting officers, and all the other pieces you need to run a modern fire department. So we're quite a large organization.
Yes, quite big.
Yeah.
And that's enough to manage a city like Calgary?
One of the things we're always challenged with is the city grows very quickly, and we're often playing catch up, which we are right now. We're slated to bring 4 more fire stations online before 2018, and that'll help us close that gap, but we constantly need to be finding ways to be more efficient, more effective, and also just, you know, we need to be going to council, asking for investment to cover new areas of the city as it develops, because Calgary is, even though the economy right now has slowed things down without question, it's probably only a matter of time before it starts, you know,
again,
growing very quickly again, and we struggle to keep up with that. It's a challenge. Calgary tends to develop in a way where it's not just this community here; it's pockets of community all around the periphery. Plus, there's some densification that takes place within the existing city, as well as some reconfiguration of you know, the way people live. And you know, downtown's a classic example now. It used to be pretty much, you know, very quiet from a residential perspective. Now you've got just
Inglewood and all these new areas.
At the West End, you've got all those condo towers now. The East Village, Eau Claire. There's quite the population living downtown now, which has really changed the nature of our business downtown as well.
So what kind of fires do you see most often in Calgary?
You know, that's a really good question. I mean, we see a lot of kitchen fires, fires to do with cooking, quite a few fires where people are using candles and perhaps don't take the right level of care with those. You know, smoking materials, you know, discarded cigarettes, and that cause a few of our fires. You know, so we'll have everything from, you know, sometimes we'll find someone has their dryer is on fire or whatever. and garage fires, things to do with vehicles. The thing to realize though is that that's a small part of our business nowadays actually. You know, over 50% of our calls now are where we assist emergency medical services from the province. We get called to critical medical calls as today, and about 50% of the time now we actually arrive before them, and people like Benoit are trained to defibrillate, provide oxygen, stabilize cervical spine, take care of those people until the paramedics arrive. You know, and often that's a significant time before the paramedics arrive, where these people really do a great job of making life-saving interventions actually. So it's a great value add for our service. You know, we're in the community anyway. We can get there quickly. We have highly trained people. We, you know, obviously with some more training and equipment, we're able to provide that level of service.
So that's why we often see a fire truck with an EMS.
That's a pretty common.
EMS responders.
Yeah, that's a pretty common model across North America. But certainly that's why you see that. I mean, if it's you know, we don't go to the most minor of medical calls, but the more serious ones we get alerted as well, and we go and help out. Plus, with a very serious medical call, something like where their heart is stopped or whatever, and they're in cardiac arrest, you actually need more than the 2 paramedics to make that call work. By the time you're gathering information from, you know, the relative of the person who's down, working oxygen, working the defibrillator, doing CPR. There's a lot of work there, and you know we can help EMS with that kind of work.
Car accidents.
That's right. Yeah, I mean there's any number of things we get involved with that way, and of course even now we're just about to go live with Naloxone, or nasal Narcan, which is the spray we can use for opioid overdoses. So we can now help people who have overdosed on drugs like fentanyl or other opioids. So we'll actually be releasing that about midway through December, as far as we're aware. So be another level of service that we can provide to the citizens of Calgary and visitors.
Yes. And now that we have the Christmas season coming up pretty soon, any tips or anything you'd like to let the people know out there?
For sure, like there's always be safe with the way you're cooking. Don't leave your cooking unattended. Then the choice of your decoration, the way the light that you choose, decoration that you choose, try to choose material that is fire resistant. And then, like always, take care of your smoke detector. You should have a smoke detector at each floor, and you should test your smoke detector every month and change your battery every year.
Yes, Christmas time is a good time to change your battery just before Christmas time.
You say every time we change the hours, you should change your battery.
Ah, okay.
And then make sure that your smoke detector is up to date. Like usually it's within 10 years, the smoke detector is too old, it needs to be changed.
Same for the little, you know, those fire extinguishers, I guess, that we often have in the kitchen close. They don't last forever.
No. That's another thing as well. And if you have a fire on your stove and it's very small and you feel comfortable, you know, putting a lid on the pot, turning off the power, and then waiting until it's completely cool is a way to mitigate that. But if you feel not confident, or if it's an escalating situation, you know, always call us, and you can always call us anyway to check that everything's quiet. Another thing is, if you have guests in town, you know, and you have a home escape plan, make sure you share that home escape plan with your guests. You know, what you're going to do in the event of fire, where you're going to meet, and those kind of things. And so that's another important
That's true.
part.
We don't often think about that.
No, that's right. And you know, and then carbon monoxide detectors is something we very much advocate for as well. Make sure you've got one of those on every level of your home as well. And you know, care as well. People often tend to use candles around Christmas. I mean, there's another one that can be a real problem. Being careful with electricity. You know, making sure you don't overload outlets and that all the wires are intact and things like that is another good thing.
Exactly. Well, gentlemen, this is all the time that we have. We thank you very much for sharing with us tonight. To all of you, please stay with us. We continue en français.